Hey everyone, back at you again with another sermon challenge video. Hope you had a good weekend. I hope you all are staying healthy and avoiding the virus and all those good things. Not really sure what the outlook is right now. The numbers continue to rise. I think that's due to a lot of testing is happening right now. Hoping, praying that we see a day soon where they start to level off, and we start getting some good news about getting life back to normal, as opposed to just the continuous more things closing, more restrictions being put in place, and all that. I guess for me, the more obviously my job, I spend a lot of time in God's Word, teaching God's Word, and all I find in God's Word is hope. And so I find myself being very filled with hope. But then I look at the world going on around, and I realize not everybody is experiencing the same thing. And so I take encouragement from God's Word, and I just continue to pray that God fulfills His purposes in this, and that we ultimately eventually see His goodness shining through, and I believe we will. But in the meantime, all we can do as His followers is continue to seek Him and trust in His promises. And it's a good challenge for us to look beyond our circumstances right now. It's easy to look at our circumstances and let the circumstances dictate how we feel and what we believe. But God, throughout God's Word, He tells us to look to Him for our guidance, to Him to dictate what we believe and what we hold on to, and our outlook on life. And anyway, we are back in our sermon challenge. We're working through Psalms, and I don't know how long this is going to continue, so I don't know if we're going to get all the way through Psalms or not, but I'm having a good time with this, and just this time of reflection. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read Psalm 3 here is what we're on today. I'm going to read Psalm 3, give you just a few thoughts, and then let you, encourage you to go ahead and study it yourself, and then make a little sermon outline. And again, you can post it on our Facebook page, or you can email it to us. There's information in the little write-up below the video here. Anyway, the Psalm 3 says this. It says, "O Lord, I have so many enemies, so many are against me. So many are saying, God will never rescue him. But you, O Lord, you are a shield around me. You are my glory. You're the one who holds my head high. I cried out to the Lord, and He answered me from His holy mountain. I lay down and slept, yet I woke up in safety, for the Lord was watching over me. I am not afraid of 10,000 enemies who surround me on every side. Arise, O Lord, rescue me, my God. Slap all my enemies in the face." I like that. That's just kind of fun. "And shatter their teeth. Shatter the teeth of the wicked." Sure, why not? "Victory comes from you, O Lord, and may you bless your people." One thing I love about the Psalms, one thing I've really started to appreciate, is that Psalms, the writer of the Psalm does not deny the evil that goes on in our world, and that is surrounding him. I think it was David at the time that was writing this one. And he doesn't deny even that he's suffering, that he's feeling pain, and he's hurting. He doesn't deny those things. But in the midst of it all, the psalmist continues to trust in God. And I think that's why in these times like this, we need to learn to cling to the Psalms and realize, you know what, this has been going on generation after generation. Believers from every time throughout history have experienced difficult times, and they've clung to God in faith. And ultimately, God has proven Himself to be faithful. I don't think we would have continued to pass on our faith from generation to generation if God wasn't proving to be faithful. Sorry, I'm getting some text here. I'll just ignore them for now. But doubting God, even here too. So many are saying, will God ever rescue him? Doubt, that we're surrounded by doubt. A lot of times we question things ourselves. Other people around us question, how can you believe in that? But doubting has always been a thing. Sometimes it's nice to have that reminder. Oh yeah, David dealt with doubt. David was surrounded by people who doubted. He didn't give up. Don't let other people's doubts discourage you. You don't let your own doubts discourage you, but definitely don't let other people's doubts discourage you. You can hold on in faith. God can prove. We look to God's Word ultimately to remind us of who God is. Don't let the people who are going through difficult times and their questions in those moments be what determines where you put your faith. Another thing I really like about this passage is here in verse, I think it's 6. He says, "I'm not afraid of 10,000 when 10,000 enemies surround me on every side." So I don't know how you look at that. You could look at that as 10,000 enemies as a whole, or 10,000 on each side. So that'd be like maybe 40,000. Either way, people of faith trust God to save them, even when the situation seems impossible. And we're in an impossible situation with what's going on in the world. You could look at this and you could be absolutely scared and terrified. But if David were here today, he wouldn't be. He would say, you know what? I see all of this going on around me, but I'm confident God's going to get me through. He's going to pull us through. We're going to be just fine. I love that. It's a message of hope that I think we really need to hear right now. And then looking back in verse 4, it says, "I cried out to the Lord, and you answered me." What's cool about this, though, is if you read on, you realize that the enemies are still surrounding him. He didn't wait until the enemies, God had defeated all the enemies. He knew that God had spoken to him and said, "I will deliver you." And when he heard God's voice saying, "I will deliver you," he said, I heard your answer. I knew it was true even before the enemies had been defeated. That's a pretty powerful statement. He said, "I called you and you answered me, so I didn't worry about the enemies that were around me." I love that. For us, we often wait till God changes our circumstances until we calm down. But David was different. David said, "No, you answered me. I know you're going to come through. I'm not worried about what's around me." And then finally, David tells us, he says, victory comes from you. And I think it's so important for us to remember is that, eventually this season will pass. And there are going to be many factors involved in that. There will be doctors, the government will have made decisions, and who knows, they may have developed, the doctors may have developed some new medicine or something. We ultimately need to remember that whatever factors are involved, ultimately victory comes from the Lord. He is our protector, and He is our healer. Too often, we'll end up looking to human strength and human wisdom. But remember, every accomplishment that humans have, every any idea that humans are able to come up with, anything that humans are able to accomplish, all of their wisdom, all of their strength has ultimately come from the Lord. And David says, ultimately my victory comes from you. And this is why, through whatever circumstance, David was able to remain confident he was able to remain hopeful, because he knew where his strength came from. He knew that ultimately God would get him through. Humans can let us down. Our own strength, we can let ourselves down. We can fail, but God can't, and He won't. God can't fail, and He won't fail. That's a message of hope for right now. God can't fail, and He won't fail you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that some of you take the time and develop an outline from this. I'd love to see your posts. And I'll be back with you soon with another video. Have a great day.